Il y a du soleil.
Oui, le temps change rapidement au bord de la mer.
Comme la rue est petite. Elle est très étroite. Les maisons sont très vieilles. Là, c'est comme un tunnel. Les murs sont très épais. Voilà un escalier. Montons-le.
Voyez-vous ces petites fenêtres là-bas?
Oh oui. Mais pourquoi des fenêtres dans un mur extérieur? Dans une maison, je le comprends, mais ici...
N'oubliez pas que le mont était un château fort, une forteresse. Il n'y avait qu'une porte. Ainsi, il n'y avait qu'un point d'attaque. De ces fenêtres, les moines et les villageois pouvaient jeter sur l'ennemi des quantités de pierres et d'huile bouillante. Mais allons voir le village.
Comme la rue monte ici.
Souvenez-vous, il n'y a qu'une rue dans le village. Elle monte de la porte jusqu'à l'abbaye. En arrivant, nous avons fait une partie du tour du mont en passant par les remparts.
Il y a des boutiques comme dans un vrai village.
Mais c'est un vrai village. Il y a des gens qui habitent ce village et qui vont chaque jour cultiver leurs champs sur la terre ferme. Il y en a d'autres qui sont là pour le tourisme.
Avons-nous le temps de regarder les boutiques et de voir les marchandises?
Bien sûr, regardez si vous voulez.
Je ne devrais pas, je n'ai pas d'argent à dépenser. Mais j'aime regarder les boutiques en passant.
Une jolie tasse de porcelaine, mademoiselle.
Cette tasse est mignonne. Elle plairait beaucoup à ma mère.
Et l'argent? Pensons à la fin du voyage.
Oh, vous avez raison.
Merci, monsieur, dame.
Continuons notre promenade.
Voulez-vous monter à l'abbaye maintenant?
Je veux bien. Je veux monter jusqu'au sommet. Toujours des escaliers à monter.
Hi everybody, I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, where we watch old 16mm films and might pick up a foreign language or two, mostly French. This is part of that EB series, these short little vignettes where they go somewhere and they talk in French. And then you're supposed to consult your program guide and do lessons based on what you just saw. So, yeah. I just drew a blank. That kind of happens. Anyways, let's go to the movies. Enjoy.
is the first of a series of motion pictures about motion pictures. How they began, how they are made, and the people who make and show them. It all started less than 60 years ago when their prospects were so poor that Thomas Edison would not spend $150 to protect the foreign rights of his kinetoscope. The movies, like the automobile, grew up in the 20th century. But where the automobile is tangible and real, the movies are light and shadow. People first saw them in a penny arcade, where they appeared as a series of cards flipped in rapid succession to simulate motion. Then a continuous projection machine was made and the Nickelodeon was born. People could now gather in groups to view drama and the great events of history. Early research imprisoned a man's voice on a cylinder of wax. Further research in the field of electronics transmitted sound into audible impulses. And then in 19...
To that which grieves my heart, my cheeks with artificial tears, and frame my face to all occasions. Can I do this, and cannot get a crown? Tut! Were it further off, I'll pluck it down.
Today, 20 years later, the movies are played in more than 80,000 theaters throughout the world. People say it in 150 different languages and dialects, but it all means the same thing. Let's go to the movies, the greatest medium for entertainment the world has ever known. To most people, the movies in their theaters mean Hollywood, Hollywood, California, USA. The city that is not a city. Only a post office branch of Los Angeles, where 30,000 specialists working in 272 separate arts and crafts, sciences and trades make the movies, working as a team to put their ideas into pictures. end product of their labor is a continuous piece of film about 1.5 inches wide and almost 2 miles long, containing approximately 150,000 still pictures or frames. The reason these pictures seem to move is because of the fact that they can be flashed on the screen at the rate of 90 feet per minute, like this. Film is silver-coated cellulose. Cellulose is a byproduct of cotton. And there wouldn't be any movies if millions of bales of cotton weren't grown each and every year in our southern states. That cotton is shipped all over the country in order to go through a process like this. From cotton to cellulose, to a thin sheet of celluloid. Then silver is used to sensitize the film. The film industry uses more silver from our western states each year than is needed to plate all of the knives and forks and spoons that are used in this country. But cotton and silver are only the beginning. It takes a lot of other things to make the movies. It takes lumber and plaster. It takes paint, electric power, and all of the varied products of the gigantic factory that is America. It takes science, a lot of American know-how, constant tinkering in the laboratories in Rochester, Schenectady, and Wilmington, experimenting with the mysteries of electronics, continual research, people constantly working to improve the qualities of photography and the reproduction of sound. It takes a lot of people, most of whom have never even seen Hollywood. People working in publicity, advertising and exploitation, in distribution, arranging dates and schedules, inspecting, repairing and servicing film in exchanges, from where it is shipped to thousands of theaters, most of which are independently owned. These people are working for your entertainment, making it possible for you to say, let's go to the movies. There are so many interesting facets to its arts and crafts and sciences that each one takes a separate film to tell part of the story. In succeeding films, we will tell you about the exhibitor, the distributor, the screenwriter, the producer, the art director, the cameraman, the actor, the sound man, the music director, the film editor, and all the other people who work in the motion picture industry, making it possible for you to say, let's go to the movies.
There. It's regrettable that some of the milestones, hallmarks of Hollywood feature film have these horrible racist portrayals of people of color. So The Jazz Singer being one example, and then of course Birth of a Nation. Really bad. Anyways, behind me, here's my wrap. I have, because it is lunch after all, I have on the scanner teaching us how to visit. So let's learn how to visit. Enjoy.
2 years have passed since Jesus gave his command to go and teach all nations. Yet today, even in so-called Christian America, millions of people have little or no contact with any church, express little or no understanding of the gospel, or commit to its message. The failure of churches to reach and enlist people for the cause of Christ should challenge all of us. Experience has shown that if people are won and enlisted, it is usually through some personal contact by a concerned neighbor or friend. Contact by a man or woman who has learned the art of visitation.
We don't want anything. Now, you shut up. Get down. Get down. No salesman. Nothing. Now, I told you to get down. I told you. Now, down.
My name's Paul Wells. I'm from the
can't hear you. Where did you say you were from?
The 6th Avenue Church. Right up
No,
there.
not today.
Yeah, well, we're just new in town. Why don't you just come back when we get more settled?
From a church? I'm watching a ball game. Maybe some other time, huh?
Not everyone you meet is like this, of course, but visiting for the church can be a challenge under even the best of circumstances. So let's watch an experienced visitor in action and see what can be done to make visitation effective.
Yes? Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
I'm Paul Wells of the 6th Avenue Church. I wonder if I might visit with you for a few minutes.
Oh, okay, sure. Come on.
All right. Thank you. Very good.
Have a seat
A good beginning.
Pretty on the couch here?
Always introduce yourself and promptly state the purpose of your visit. Start the visit on a friendly basis. In the early moments of the visit, try to ask leading questions. Give the prospect a chance to talk about himself.
Oh, I see. Somebody in the family is a coin collector, huh?
Yeah, it's me. I was just working on it when you knocked on the door there. It's kind of a relaxing hobby, I found, especially if you have a job like mine.
What kind of work do you do?
Oh, I'm in the department store business, and
So far, so good. But the experienced visitor also knows when to turn the conversation back to the purpose for which he came. The prospect is relaxed and friendly and likes to chat, so this pleasant exchange could go on indefinitely.
And, problems. We've had our own problems in the office, too, you know, and business being what it is.
I know. I don't want to take too much of your time, so I'll get right to the point. I think we've had the pleasure of seeing you in our services.
Well, we just moved here, you know, so...
Well, let me offer you a belated welcome to our town. It's good to have you with us.
Well, thank you. We do like it here.
Where were you living before you moved here?
Columbia. I was with the fair department store over there.
Well, it's good to have you with us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how loud
Gets out of hand, doesn't it?
Radios and TV sets can be a problem. Our visitor's glance did the trick. But sometimes you can also just lower your voice until the prospect has to strain to hear you.
Where'd you get started?
Find some subtle way of pointing out the problem. The person who can't take a hint might also resent having you mention it. Once you have begun to get uninterrupted attention, boost your church.
What church did you attend in Columbia?
Maplewood Church.
Wonderful. I'm sure you had a good pastor there. Well, we've got a good one here, too. One I think you'll really like. And there's something special about our congregation. A conservative. I mean, well, it's not a country club kind of an atmosphere, but rather a group of committed Christian people that are really working on some of the problems in this area.
Well, that sounds like the sort of church that we would like to belong to. I think we could get interested in that. But really, we thought first of all we'd kind of visit around and do that before we decided which church we'd join.
Well, that makes sense. But we hope you'll visit us. Oh, by the way, here's some information about our church and the services. You might like to read that over as you're trying to make up your mind.
Oh, all right, I'll be...
The presence of these helpful materials about the church is no accident. Our visitor planned it this way, as he carefully prepared himself in advance for the interview. Determined to make his visitation a success, he stopped by the church earlier and made sure his information was up to date. You should know your church, including the leadership in each department and organization. Prospect cards and other information about the prospects, calling cards in case people are not home, bulletins or folders about the services and program, and a Bible are all helpful. Thorough preparation, physical, mental, and spiritual, includes a definite and specific time schedule, as well as a prayerful attitude. All of these are important to the visitor who wants positive results.
Now, you'll notice that we have Sunday school for children, youth, and adults, organizations for men and women, something for all ages. You know, we'd certainly like to have you with us.
Well, thank you, but we thought we'd visit a downtown church this Sunday. Well, maybe we can make it another time.
Fine. Oh, by the way, what are the ages of your children?
Tom is 6 and Doris is 9.
Well, a boy and a girl, huh? That's nice. Say, if you don't mind, I'd like to give their names to Mrs. Barton of the children's department in Sunday school. She'd like to know about the youngsters.
Well, yeah, I guess that's all right.
Well, good.
The visit is still proceeding according to plan. Our visitor has aroused the prospect's interest. He has described the program and what the church has to offer for the entire family. Now he is making the visit count for the whole church by his reference to the children's department. He has prepared the way for a follow-up visit in case this one fails to produce results. Now he is ready to press for a commitment.
Incidentally, let me share a verse of scripture with you that's meant much to my family. As Joshua said to the Israelites, "Choose you this day whom you will serve, but as for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord." Now, I have a suggestion. You're new in town, so why not let my wife and me come by for you next Sunday? That way we can introduce you around at the church and help you get to know some of the people.
Well, that's really very nice of you, Mr. Wells. It really is. I'll tell you, though, I think I'd better talk it over with the family first before I give you any kind of a definite promise.
Good. You talk it over. Afterwards, I'll call you. If you can go, we'll swing by and pick you up.
Okay, thank you.
Meantime, it's been real good talking to you. I hope you'll visit us and decide to place your membership in our church. You know, we're interested not only in you, but the entire family.
Well, we'll see. But thank you very much for coming by.
You're very welcome. I'm sorry, Mr.
Notice
Johnson,
that our
you're my
visitor
guy.
has demonstrated his concern by offering to become involved with the Johnson family. He makes himself the friendly link to the congregation, the one who will show them around when they come, and they probably will. Our visitor has made an impression on Mr. Johnson. Whether the Johnsons will respond to the invitation depends on many things. But this friendly, tactful, and brief visit is bound to have a positive result. Here are some of the things Mr. Johnson will probably remember.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
My name is Paul Wells. I'm from the 6th Avenue Church. I wonder if I could visit with you for a few minutes.
Oh, sure. Come on in.
Thank you. Very nice of you.
The friendly smile and the businesslike manner of getting right to the point. The visitor's tactfulness.
Sorry,
And throughout the interview, the lack of high-pressure tactics.
You'll notice we have Sunday school for
the visitor's sincerity and his pride in his church.
You're new in town, so why not let my wife and me pick you up on Sunday? That way we can...
And the diligence with which the visitor attempts to be helpful. He has a genuine attitude of concern for the spiritual welfare of the Johnson family. The visitor followed a simple plan. He cultivated the prospect, visited for the entire church, left some helpful information, and concluded the interview before he had worn out his welcome, all in less than a half hour's time. But that half hour could change the Johnson family's entire life. Your responsibility as a visitor is not concluded when you leave the prospect's house. Remember to report back with the information and impressions you have gathered. Good record keeping is important for the church and for you. If you have made commitments to pick up someone or phone them, make sure you remember it.
And I'd like to add something to that. I always like to summarize what I've said to the prospect and make sure he knows where the church is located. You'd be surprised how many people in your town don't know. There's a lot to learn about visitation. It took me a long time to get the hang of it, but it can be learned. Oh, sure, you're going to run into problems. They won't all be as cooperative and friendly as Mr. Johnson. But if you work at it, and if you really care about winning and enlisting people in Christ's kingdom, you'll get results. And take it from me, it's as rewarding for the visitor as it is for the prospect. As we go out and compel them to come in, as Jesus said, we're doing what he told us to do. And I know this, we don't go alone. He goes with us.
There are millions of people in our nation. About half of them claim membership in some church. About 1/3 of church members attend Sunday school, and far less than that regularly attend church services. Obviously, there is work to be done. If they are won and enlisted in the church at all, it will be by some person's concerned efforts, by someone who cares enough to work at learning the art of visitation.
Educational media is, I think, the same people that did Mr. Dish Machine Operator and Short Order Cookery. And yeah, let me see if it's the same one. I'll bring that up real quick. See if I can get Short Order Cookery. It's been a while since I've shown that one. It's really good, but I think it's the same guy. But yeah, fascinating to see. Do I have Short Order Cookery on here? Yeah, there it is. All right. It's fascinating to see this kind of. It's a sales film, totally a sales film, and you know, it's the same type of film on like how to sell insurance and how to sell, you know, people on financial services and how to sell blah blah, you know. So here's a Short Order Cookery, and we'll see if it's, I think it's the same narrator. Plus we'll learn about the delightful career in operating a short order grill. Enjoy.
The professional short-order cook must be a versatile man. He must be able to prepare a wide variety of foods while using a limited amount of equipment, such as the steam table, the broiler, the deep fat fryer, the range, and facilities for salads and sandwiches. But the most important piece of equipment and the heart of the short order operation is the griddle. The fast food cook must be an expert griddle man, able to prepare all the food items people have learned to expect from this amazingly versatile piece of equipment. Few other workers in the food service industry are called upon to handle such a diversity of foods under pressure as the man at the griddle. The first rule of fast food cookery is know your griddle. The thickness of the griddle and its composition are important elements in its use and maintenance, governing such factors as how long it takes to heat up and how well it recovers its temperature when frozen items are prepared. All griddles contain multiple temperature controls to permit the cook to heat various sections of the griddle to different temperatures. The most common approach is to have a section for items which require lower temperatures, a section for intermediate temperatures, and a hot section for most meat items. As a general rule, fatty foods and thin items are cooked at high temperatures. Thicker pieces of meat require low temperatures, so the inside will finish before the surface is overdone. Follow the principle of low heat. Cook at the lowest temperature you can within the limits of time and efficiency. In addition to sectioning for temperature control, many cooks maintain a separate section for items with strong, pervasive taste, such as onions, bacon, or sausage. The front section may be used for this purpose, since many griddles drain to the front. Fats from these items drip harmlessly into the drain. Griddle temperature is an important factor in keeping items from sticking to the griddle surface. Even with the best commercial shortenings, if the griddle is too hot or too cool for the item being cooked, sticking can result. It pays to use a griddle thermometer periodically as a double check against the thermostat on your equipment, just to be safe. The most common cause of sticking is burned-in food particles. The professional scrapes the surface clean after each item he cooks. He does so habitually and automatically, knowing it's the only way to keep the griddle free of particle buildup. He also refrains from using too much shortening. He uses a minimum amount for the job and carefully scrapes off the excess when an item is removed. Nicks and scratches like these, caused by the sharp edge of the spatula, can also cause sticking problems. Never clean the spatula by striking it against the griddle surface. Protect your griddle by cleaning the spatula the professional way with a towel. Remember also that salt can cause sticking. Excessively salty items may break down the shortening and leave the bare griddle surface exposed. Many sticking problems can be prevented if the griddle is carefully cleaned and properly prepared each day. At least once a day in normal operations, the griddle must be scraped thoroughly down to the bare metal with a soft griddle brick. This scraping movement should always follow the direction of the grain to prevent gouging or scratching the surface. When finished, wipe off the residue with a clean towel. When you are ready to prepare the surface again, apply a good grade of commercial shortening and spread it evenly over the entire griddle surface. Use a towel to wipe off the excess and spread the shortening until a firm, slick surface has been obtained. Mastery of the griddle is only one aspect of the art of fast food cookery. During busy rush hours, the fast food cook must function under extreme pressure. He is continually receiving orders from a number of waitresses and must time his own activities on the griddle so that all the items for each order come up at the same time. Timing, teamwork, and coordination are the keys to a successful fast food operation. To see how timing, teamwork, and coordination apply, let's follow this typical order. Steak sandwich, pancakes with egg and bacon, grilled cheese sandwich, and a fresh fruit salad. The griddle man alerts his supporting cook, who will prepare the salad, French fries, and garnishments needed, while the first cook will prepare the items to be grilled. The steak must be put on first because it requires the longest cooking time. The French fries are started. Plates are garnished in advance. The bacon is started and the steak turned. The turning of the steak is the signal for the pancakes. Next come the bread slices for the grilled cheese sandwich. The cheese is added, then the tomato slices. The egg is placed in the pan. Now, with the turning of the bacon, all items are properly started on the griddle so they will all finish at exactly the same time. The last touches are put on the fruit salad. The toast for the steak sandwich is started, and the French fries lifted out to drain. A final flip of the pancakes, then the tomato slices are turned, lightly griddled on the other side, and added to the cheese sandwich. The egg is almost done, and the time has come. Timing, teamwork, and coordination have enabled our cooks to prepare a variety of items requiring very different cooking times, temperatures, and equipments, and finish them together. In an actual situation, the cooks would be working on several orders like this at the same time. However, our sample order does demonstrate that the fast food cook must be able to organize his own work and coordinate his efforts with others for maximum efficiency. All 4 orders are now ready for the waitress to pick them up and serve all of the people at her table at the same time. Because the fast food cook frequently performs in the public eye, his appearance and manner are extremely important for the successful operation. He should always be clean and well-groomed, with a fresh uniform at the start of each shift. Yes, the fast food cook has to be a man of many talents. Under constant pressure to work at top speed, he must produce what the customer wants with eye appeal and appetizing taste. The successful fast food cook has a right to be proud of the skills he possesses and of the very special position he holds in the modern world of professional food service.
I love that restaurant. You know, it's a short order cook, but everybody's wearing frilly dresses and they're wearing tall hats, and it's like, you know, they're just making burgers and open sandwiches and a blue plate special, and so it's not anything super super challenging or exciting. All right, let me flip this back. We've done work for the Library of Congress in the past, and we worked on this project with them. We didn't digitize this one, but this one's still pretty good nonetheless. This is Boy in Court. Enjoy.
So, another job for the police and the courts. Johnny Marvin is now in the hands of the law. This is the first time he's been caught, but his delinquent tendencies began long before in the conflicts of an unhappy home and in the hangout of the gang which was his refuge. Now, what will become of this boy? What road lies ahead for this sullen, misguided 15-year-old? Will he be placed in a cell for the night, herded with drunks and criminals, then in the morning paraded in the police lineup? Will he be fingerprinted, photographed, given a permanent criminal record at 15? Will he be sentenced by a judge who knows nothing of the background of Johnny and his family or the reasons behind his behavior? Will he grow up in reformatories and prisons to become a bitter and seasoned criminal? Johnny and 200,000 other youngsters who are arrested each year are America's #1 crime problem. Can't something be done to help these twisted young lives and set them straight? Yes, something can be done. Something is being done. Many communities believe that good juvenile courts with well-organized probation service can make good citizens out of wayward youth. Fortunately, Johnny lives in a community which has such a court. After his arrest, he does not go to a jail to mingle with adult offenders. Instead, he is taken to a detention home, which the community maintains especially for children. Here he is placed in the care of a house mother and father who have been trained in this work. Kindly but firmly, they proceed to make him comfortable in spite of himself. He is given a bath and a pair of clean pajamas. He has a good night's rest in a comfortable bed. Next morning, after nourishing breakfast, he's ready for a visit to the chief probation officer who handles incoming cases at the juvenile court. Haltingly, Johnny tells his story. The officer listens attentively and asks questions to bring out all the details. Then he sends him back to the detention home for a few days and assigns a probation officer to investigate his background. Why does Johnny behave as he does? It is probation officer Benton's job to find out. First, he makes a trip to Johnny's neighborhood, a visit to Johnny's world of squalid homes, dirt, and confusion. Here in the rear of a house typical of the neighborhood is where the Marvins live. Benton finds Mrs. Marvin and has a long talk with her. He learns that Johnny's father is dead, that she earns a little each week as a cleaning woman, and finds the task of raising her family too much for her. The boy was fond of his father, but he rebels against his tired, nagging mother, who finds it impossible to control him. He stays out late, prefers the gang to home. Benton investigates the gang because he's concerned about these boys too, but he finds them suspicious and distrustful, unwilling to tell him anything about Johnny. He also has a talk with Johnny's teacher. He learns that though bright and popular with his classmates, the boy has a long record of truancy and poor schoolwork. Meanwhile, Johnny is sent to the clinic where he is given a thorough physical examination. Psychological tests reveal Johnny's special aptitudes, as well as some of the probable reasons for his school failures. The probation officer's efforts to persuade Johnny himself to talk meet with some degree of success. He readily admits all the facts of his offense, but he's still distrustful of any efforts to help him. Then Johnny goes before the judge. In a good juvenile court, this is not a trial, but a quiet hearing conducted in a small room. Only Johnny, his mother, and the probation officer are present. The judge has studied the reports of the probation officer, the doctor, and the psychologist. And after talking with Johnny, Mrs. Marvin, and Mr. Benton, he reaches a decision.
Well, Johnny, you're in a pretty serious situation. This isn't the first time you've stolen things. I can send you to the industrial school till you're 21. You know that, don't you? But I don't want to do that. But we believe, your mother and Mr. Benton and I, that you can make good without being sent away. So, I'm going to put you on probation. Mr. Benton will be your friend and supervisor. Now, we're going to help you all we can. But it's really your job. Will you try? Good. Mr. Benton, I want to know from time to time how Johnny gets along.
And so Johnny is placed in the hands of a probation officer, a trained caseworker to whom the boy's problems are a challenge. The first step in planning for the boy's future is to become acquainted with him, to find out about his interests, his ambitions, his feelings about himself. At the same time, he begins to win the boy's respect and friendship. He must find a way to change Johnny's attitudes, to make him want to do the things which will bring him greater satisfaction than he has found in misbehaving. Benton has a talk with Johnny's mother, helps her to understand the needs of an adolescent boy. He asks the welfare agency to give financial help and assist Mrs. Marvin in making the home more attractive for her children. As the months pass, Benton sees Johnny frequently, sometimes at the community swimming pool. Johnny loves to swim. In the winter, Mr. Benton persuades him to go out for the school basketball team. And he is successful in getting him to go to church again. Sometimes they meet at Johnny's home, where his willingness to help his mother is evidence of a new sense of responsibility. Discovering that Johnny's greatest interest is airplanes, Mr. Benton arranges with a friend of his who is a pilot to have Johnny meet him at the flying field. It was a never-to-be-forgotten experience for the boy. He was actually able to sit in a plane and have a real pilot tell him about the controls. Benton uses Johnny's desire to be an aviator to persuade the boy to better his schoolwork, for a pilot must have at least a high school education. He introduces Johnny to the public library, where the boy devours books on aviation, and to the boys' club, where he learns to build a model airplane in the club shop. This is fun, fascinating. Johnny has found a new world and ambition. The gang is forgotten. He's looking ahead to the things he really wants. Intelligent and friendly guidance has accomplished what mere punishment could never do. After a year on probation, Johnny is again brought before the judge.
Well, Johnny, Mr. Benton tells me you don't need probation anymore. You've made good. I guess you won't steal any more.
Gee, that was dumb, wasn't it?
It certainly was. But we're all very proud of you now, Johnny. And I want to congratulate you.
And so Johnny's probation is successful. His case is typical of the everyday achievements of good juvenile courts. Proper facilities, a judge can achieve the same results in any community.
Thanks, Johnny. Yeah, so that's Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Boys Club, Girls Club. All of these are offering some sort of shepherding or mentorship of kids, and still do really good work. Unfortunately, the whole thing about not sentencing kids to adult crimes kind of peeled back a little bit, and there were certainly some bad things happening with commercially run prisons and facilities, so there's some problems still. All right, so behind me I have another film set up, and this one, I think this one is, I'm not sure the deal with this. It's got a very compelling title. It's What's Riding Hood Without the Wolf? So let's try to figure what this is all about. Enjoy.
All right, fine. That's fine. Let's talk today about what makes a story interesting, how a writer gets you involved in what's happening, what's going to happen next, and how it makes you want to know how it's going to come out. Let me try something on you. Listen to this and tell me what's missing. Very nice little girl was called by her mother, and her mother said to her, "Here's a basket. Would you take this over to your grandmother's?" So the little girl took the basket and went through the woods, and she got to her grandmother's house, knocked on the door. Grandmother opened the door and said, "Why, thank you, dear." And the little girl said goodbye to her grandmother and went back home. Now, does everybody recognize the story? What's missing?
The wolf.
The wolf. The wolf is missing.
The wolf and everything is
When the wolf is missing, is there a story? No, not really. I don't think so.
There is one, but it's not too interesting.
All right. Okay, but the kind of story I think that we're talking about, the kind of story that makes you want to know what happens next, is you got to have the wolf. You have to have the against. You have to have somebody against someone else.
It's interesting.
That's it. Now, what would you call that? Can you call that when someone is against something else? What would
opposed?
Opposed, opposition.
Anti?
All right. Any other? What would it be? If you're opposed to me or I'm opposed to you?
Anti.
Would it be? How about conflict?
Yeah.
All right. Another word for that, conflict, would be a what?
Oh.
Struggle, maybe? Any other words for that? All right. Now, just what I want you to do here on a piece of scratch paper is I'm going to give you just, some things, and I want you to give me the against. All right? I think it'll be very. I'll give you a few easy ones to start off. It's the good guys against what?
Bad guys.
All right, write that down. All right.
Just the bad guys.
Just the bad guys, just the against. Suppose it's the cops against blank. Now, suppose it's a young fellow who wants to be a great football player. That's his ambition. Now, someone is against that. Who is the someone? So don't tell me, write it down. Or if it's a girl, you can make it a girl wants to be a great actress or jazz dancer. Who would be against that? Write it down. How about a young scientist? He thinks that he has a vaccine to prevent cancer, but they won't let him practice on human beings. Who is the they? Who would be against him? I'll give you one, Alicia. I know you can figure out very quickly.
I just can't.
How about a beautiful young girl who wants to marry her high school sweetheart? Who is against that? Who's opposed to that? Who's the opposition? Now, Ellen, let me ask you. Does the against have to be a person? Would it have to be a person?
No. Not really necessarily.
Not necessarily. Can you think of a story in which the against, the opposition, is not a person? How about it, John? A kind of story, not a particular story.
Let's say someone has a disease and their conflict is like they're going to die or something like that.
All right. How about, man against nature? Don't we have a very exciting story when man is against nature? For instance, couldn't you write a story where the against was the sea, man against the sea? Wouldn't that make a pretty good story? The villain is really, the opposition is really the sea, conquers the sea. All right, let me ask you to read back a couple of these things. Who did you have against the fellow who wanted to be a football player? All right, Mark.
His parents.
His parents. I think basically his parents. And would you think that one parent might particularly object to that?
The father.
The father. You
The
would think
mother
the
would probably object to it.
mother would object to it, maybe.
But the
maybe,
father would probably let him do it.
Very possibly. Let's see. Read me your list, Alicia.
Damn. The bad guys, robbers, the father and mother, medical board, the parents.
Yes. All right. Okay. Now, the medical board actually is the young scientist. That's right. That's kind of the established society. Pam, who did you have the against for the? Did you have a dancer, a jazz dancer, or a girl dancer? Who would be against her?
Her mother.
Her mother. All right. Her mother might want her to do what, or might object for what reasons?
Because she didn't want her in nightclubs and stuff.
Okay, that's very good. It might become a row, a conflict between the mother and the daughter, and the mother leaves home. The mother leaves home. The daughter the daughter leaves home, and then she has all sorts of difficulties, and she fails or she succeeds. Let me ask you this about the way the story comes out. Does the hero always have to succeed? Does he always have to win?
No.
No. Because that really is true in life. Many of us try and many of us fail.
He gets close.
He gets close. Yes, that's very good in a story. It gives you suspense. He gets close. There's one other thing that is in every one of these situations as far as the person the story is about. Did you notice that there's something that the hero in each case has? Is there something that the hero wants in each one of these little cases that I gave you? Oh, all right, Alicia.
Oh, to succeed. Kind of like in what he's doing to develop it and make
that's
right.
really the basic idea. Let me jump over here to John.
Well, there's always a goal that they're trying to...
Goal. The hero has a goal, an objective. All right, this gives you what we're looking for, really, the conflict. He has a goal, he's going in this direction, and somebody is trying to prevent him. Somebody is in his way. And this is the basic kind of parts of a story. Ellen, what would a goal be?
To be a doctor.
Or to be a doctor, something you wanted to be. How about somebody that you felt that you had to defeat? Would that be a goal? Could that be a goal? Some person you had to beat in some particular activity?
Yes.
That would be a goal. Arturo, do you have another goal?
A lot of people say they want to be like their father.
All right, a goal is
A lot of kids.
to be like someone else. All right, you might have as a goal that you want to change. And you get the idea. It also might be something that you want. You could write a story about somebody who wanted very desperately to have one thing, a thing, or maybe an animal or something. Okay, take about a minute and write me some goals that young people would have.
Stop the projector. Sorry.
All right, time. Let me have, say, Ron, let me have the goal that you think would make the best story, the easiest one for you to write. What have you got there?
A fireman.
To be a fireman. All right. John?
To go to Europe.
To go to Europe. There could be a lot of interesting things come out of that. Ellen, what do you have?
A veterinarian.
Veterinarian. Good. I'm going to give you an assignment. This is very difficult. We want to use everything that we've learned, using the senses, character, imagination, conflict. And the conflict here is going to be man against nature. All right, the story begins with a man up on top of a mountain. He's trying to climb a mountain, and there's a blizzard going on. It's very cold, snow. And he's a very loving kind of a man. As he gets up towards the top of the mountain and it gets very cold, he begins to get numb. All right. And then he stumbles across another person lying there. And this person is unconscious and almost dead. Now, I want you to write what he does and what happens, all the way from the beginning right on through. Start with him in the blizzard, and he himself is getting very cold and very, very numb and almost about ready to give up. All right, I'm going to give you 15 minutes. You may start now. Now let me read you our winter's tale about the mountain climber. Greg stumbled forward. The snow and ice blew against his face, dug into him like sand. His gloved hands were wet and icy. Just about to give up, he saw a gray object ahead. It was a girl lying on her back, half covered with snow. Greg took her pulse. She was alive. Greg slapped her gently, called to her, lifted up her eyelids. He rubbed her hands, trying to get her blood going. Taking a blanket out of his pack, he covered the girl. Her face was white and frostbitten. She gave no response. But wait, she's opening her eyes. Hello? Hello? Then they heard the whir of a helicopter overhead. Greg rushed to his pack and broke out a pack of flares and started to light them. The helicopter saw them. It moved overhead, dropped a rope ladder. Can you move your legs? Greg asked. I think so. Good. We're going to be all right. What do you think of that?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. That was a conflict that was man against nature. And notice we had character in there. We had the uses of the senses. We certainly had a lot of imagination. And we had conflict. And tell me, Alicia, do you think that the man who saved his friend, do you think that he got anything special out of this experience?
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh. What? Would you have any idea?
I know one thing. He'd sure feel real good, you know.
All right, he got himself started
Right.
again. He was in the snow and he was cold. And by helping someone else, he helped himself. I'm going to give you your assignment for tomorrow. This is a little bit different from what we've just done, but it's based on something we're familiar with. It's about a little girl, a very determined little girl, and she lives in kind of a tough neighborhood. And her mother says to her, take the basket there and take this pizza over to your grandmother. So she takes the pizza and she takes a shortcut. She goes through an old tenement house with a lot of difficult and tough characters in there. Now, write your story and tell me what happens on her way to Grandma's house and what happens when she gets there. That's the assignment. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Fair enough. All right.
how could we not like that film? Especially the acting out the story. Was pretty great. But yes, the pacing of that was a little excruciating. But you guys can take it. I know you can take it. So now some sad news. Earlier this week, we showed Aunt Ari, which was a great EB film, and someone in the comments, Kevin, mentioned Apple Shop, which is this amazing film archive based in Whitesburg, Kentucky, which has a lot of films where they capture Appalachian culture. Well, yesterday evening, I saw this picture, that is Apple Shop. Whitesburg was flooded, like many communities in that part of Kentucky. And unfortunately, the film archive is on the first floor, which you see to the right. And so right now, I reached out to the archivist there. Right now, they're just trying to deal with emergency stuff. And so instead of giving me coffee in support, please consider supporting the link that I just put in the comments. It is just for supporting people that are basically washed out of their homes. I know there's lots of natural disasters and lots of things going on all over the world. This one it's just such a weird coincidence that we were talking about Apple Shop earlier this week, and to see that devastation. They are, according to the archivist, they are working with, there's going to be some folks coming in that are acquainted with how to deal with unique and historical objects. They were talking to a organization about what to do when film gets wet. There's certain things that you can do if it's wet and completely submerged. You can actually do things to wash it with water and have consistent drying so that you don't get that weird water damage that we've seen sometimes. That's when something dries against the back of another piece of film, you get that emulsion coming off. And so I'm hoping that there'll be some salvageable things there. But man, yeah, having a physical archive is always, there's always something that could happen. You know, the AV Geeks archive could get hit by a meteorite, or a tree could fall on us. There's always something. And so, you know, I hope that you consider, even if it's like $5, like $5 that you would have given me for coffee, if you could put it towards one of the links in that link that I gave you. It's just helping somebody. I appreciate that. Everybody have a safe, okay weekend. I'm going to go to a wedding of a longtime friend of mine. But everybody take care. Take care of yourself too. It's rough. It's rough out there. And sometimes you need help. Sometimes a friend or family member might need help. So don't be afraid to reach out and just say like, hey, how you doing? And you can just spend a little bit of time bitching or whatever. So thanks again for tuning in. As always, please rewind and love each other. And we will see you on Monday, when it's going to be August. Maybe August will be kinder to all of us. Take care.